We've got the all-new Subaru Impreza.
It's been a while.
Ooh. There you go, Zach. Hang on.
It's got a CVT, Andrea. I don't need to hang on.
Zippy.
It is zippy.
Not bad for this class of vehicle.
And it doesn't have a sport mode. It's got a transmission mode right there. You hit S, and it makes the transmission a little sharper. It actually works.
It does.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so before we get into everything, Andrea, confession time. It's been at least 10 years since I've driven an Impreza.
Yeah.
Sometimes a car just falls through the cracks. So we're very happy to get this back, and we're very pleasantly surprised by it. Right now, let's get into it. What's under the hood of this thing?
A 2.5-liter four-cylinder matched to a CVT, 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque.
Now, the base engine is a 2-liter four-cylinder and a CVT, 152 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. Impreza is all-wheel drive on all models.
In Canada, the base engine is standard on the lower trims, and the top two trims get this more powerful engine. In the US, it's only the top trim with the 2.5-liter, and that is the RS model.
And that's new for this model year. The RS is a name that is back for Subaru, which is good. All right, so let's get into the Impreza, the updates. What do you get with it? What are the key standard features?
The base trim comes with dual 7-inch screens, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 4.2-inch multi-information display, a 4-speaker audio system, heated front seats, 6-way manual driver's seat, 4-way manual passenger seat, cloth upholstery, and EyeSight driver assist technology.
Well, we've already hit the S button on there for sharp. Oh, what else can you put it in, Andrea?
You got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the couple car review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's going on with the channel. And for me, it's Motormouth_Auto. To find the links, they're below the description, and hit that like button. The running shoe is the Crosstrek. The dress shoe, or the casual shoe, is the Impreza. They're exactly the same platform, but people don't believe they're the same size.
In fact, we were at the dealership picking this up, and the manager said, I had a woman in here interested in the Crosstrek and the Impreza, and he said, no, really, the passenger space on the inside of the Impreza is exactly the same as the Crosstrek. And she said, it is not. It is not. And he said, I'm really not lying.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you raise the suspension, put on more cladding, different style wheels, put on the roof rails on top and make it into a Crosstrek, it gives the impression that it's bigger, but it's not.
No, it's been redesigned, re-engineered from the ground up with improved aerodynamic styling. Subaru really wanted to focus on reducing wind and road noise, and of course creating better fuel economy, which it has done all around. Wouldn't you say this is quite a quiet vehicle?
Oh, this is where I'm going with this whole video. If you want a comfortable, smooth, quiet, and refined feeling compact hatchback, this is it. I mean, this is really, really excellent. And for me, Andrea, the quietness of the going down the road noise, and also the suspension is very compliant yet sporty. It's a great daily commuter.
Yeah, and in the city, you just zip around. I mean, you're in and out of traffic. It's easy to maneuver. The turning radius is great. Easy to parallel park. We parallel park in front of our house every day. It's quite impressive. I mean,
it's Impreza.
It's Impreza. Now, coming up in our hot topic, someone asked, why would you buy this over the Crosstrek? So stick around for that. Overall, I think Zach and I are pleasantly surprised by this model more than we thought that we would be.
Okay, when you've got a lower center of gravity, the suspension sits lower, you've got bigger wheels with a shallower sidewall, you're going to get better handling, even though the road noise isn't increased, and you can throw it around. It's going to be more tossable than the Crosstrek.
I like tossable. Now, on the highway, when you're accelerating quickly and you're wondering about passing power, we do have the more powerful engine in our test model. It's sufficient enough. Now, of course, I'm going to gets a little bit louder, which is something that you would expect from this class of vehicle.
I think the noise level is excellent in this car. That's one area they absolutely nailed. It's really an all-new car, but it's so minor on the outside, the way they made the changes. Same with the Crosstrek. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know that it's an all-new product. On the outside, stay in the course.
I like the look of this. I'm especially fond of this new RS model. I think it offers great value and is the one that I would get. It's got some nice black exterior accents, and the red really suits this vehicle. The Impreza gets 5.1 inches of ground clearance and comes standard with LED steering responsive headlights, LED taillights available, LED fog lights, standard 16-inch wheels available 17 and 18, and a tire repair kit.
So you might not notice changes on the outside of this RS trim. Of course, that's definitely all new. But on the inside, when you peek in the window, you'll go, oh, it's got the big screen. That's the new one. So you get a lot of screen real estate here. We have found on startup, when you start the car up, it's a little bit slow, but it seems like once the system gets warmed up, do computers get warmed up? Yeah. When it gets warmed up, it's quicker.
And I also find that the auto start stop is maybe a little bit more aggressive than I'd like. I tried to get used to it. I eventually shut it off, which you can do, and that is done right at the bottom of the screen by the climate control, so it stays on at all times.
It's permanently there, along with the HVAC controls. So this is a nice update. The screen really is the showstopper.
And I really think that the comfort level in this is excellent. You'll find that going on a long trip, the seats are really quite comfortable, much better than what we saw in the previous model. And Subaru really focused on the seats in this Impreza as well as the new Crosstrek.
Now, speaking of the seats, Andrea, we had the Integra. I keep thinking Impreza Integra. We had the Integra recently, the top model, the Type S, and they had cheap vinyl red seats in the back. This one, you've got the two-tone black and red, and they carried it right through to the back seat. It doesn't take much, Honda. Figure that stuff out.
What a concept.
Another nice thing is they have black on the doors and on the dash, but it's not the shiny hard black, piano black. It's this kind of gray matte look. I think it looks much better.
And there's even some cloth on the door as well. This comes standard with cloth seats. The RS model has premium cloth, and then you can get leather trimmed on the top model. In the US, there are a couple features that the Impreza doesn't get. That's the leather trimmed seats, as well as a heated steering wheel.
What?
I know, I don't understand why manufacturers think that the US doesn't need a heated steering wheel.
Well, if you live in Minnesota, you appreciate a heated steering wheel, I tell you. I mean, that's as cold as Saskatchewan. I don't get that. I don't understand why, because they're doing the product planning in California, they think you don't need it.
I guess so. Let's get into the trims. In Canada, one up from the base model adds the heated steering wheel and the larger 11.6-inch touchscreen. The two top trims get the wireless charger, the 10-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, a powered driver's seat with lumbar support, and the moonroof. The top trim adds the leather trim seating and navigation.
Speaking of the seats, there's no height adjustment on the passenger seat, and it does sit a little bit high. That's something that can certainly work on. Now, in the United States, you can add some features to specific trims. They include a powered driver's seat, moonroof, and the Harman Kardon sound system. Now, in Canada and the US, there are some features that are missing from this model, like memory seats, ventilated front seats, heated rear seats, a power liftgate, and we just mentioned it, the power passenger seat. Also, there's no rear parking sensors available. Here's me getting in the back seat, and just like the Crosstrek, this is a really nice size vehicle. It is in the compact class. There's very good legroom and good headroom. The seats are nice and comfortable as well.
Comparing the Impreza to other competitors like the Toyota Corolla hatchback and the Honda Civic hatchback, the Subaru offers 42.9 inches of front row legroom, which is more than the Corolla and Civic. Second row legroom is very good at 36.5 inches. It offers over 6 inches more legroom than the Toyota, but about an inch less than the Civic hatchback.
And then you lift the manually operated rear hatch. There's a very useful cargo space, exactly the same as the Crosstrek. And underneath the floor, that's where they hide the tire repair kit.
Cargo space behind the second row at 20.4 cubic feet is smaller than these two competitors. Overall cargo space from the Impreza comes in at 56 cubic feet.
So this or Crosstrek, that's our hot topic after this.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
How does this Impreza compare to the Mazda 3 or a VW GTI, which is front-wheel drive? Does this RS feel engaging enough?
Well,
good question, actually.
The Mazda 3, you can't get all-wheel drive. And you can get the turbo all-wheel
yes,
drive.
Yes.
That's a very expensive model. This is no GTI.
This is no GTI. GTI has more power. It also has a manual transmission and a dual clutch transmission offering.
Yeah, very different.
I think that the Mazda 3 is definitely more engaging as well, whether you get the non-turbo or you get the turbo, and it has a 6-speed manual transmission offering as well.
All right, so we've been talking about it already through the video. I think this is just a fantastic execution of a great everyday hatchback car.
For sure.
So it's Crosstrek without all the Crosstrek-y stuff, but a lot of the same functionality is here, of course, but the suspension is the key thing for me. It just eats up bumps. So yeah, you live somewhere bumpy, it's a good spot to start.
And also space. You know, you can't compare the Mazda 3 rear seat and headroom to this. This is quite a spacious vehicle, and boy, priced well.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Does the Impreza have full screen Android Auto?
Full
screen enough, I would say.
Okay, so at the top of the screen is where you get your clock, and at the bottom of the screen is where you have your HVAC controls. The middle of the screen is dedicated to Android Auto, but that's the same for any of the screens. That's all you're getting. It's a lot. It's a big screen.
It's a big screen, and for me, I would say yes, that's full screen. It's good.
It's not going to go edge to edge because they keep the HVAC controls at the bottom. Yes. But you know what? It's perfectly fine.
It's good. You're going to see everything just great.
So now it's not that it doesn't have Android, it doesn't have Apple. It has Apple, it has Android, but it's not big enough.
Yeah, is the screen big enough?
Yeah.
They like it all. They like it corner to corner, width to width, length to length. My daughter is looking at one of these. What is it like for safety features on the base model? I'm always looking out for her and want her to be safe. Oh, such a dad.
Subaru does a great job with standard safety features, and they have a huge number of 5-star ratings from the crash tests they do in the United States. It is a very good place to start for safety.
For sure. It comes standard with eyesight technology. Subaru will tell you safety is really important to them. Okay, so what's missing? One up from the base model adds blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert and lane change assist. I think for younger drivers, these may be important features and worth a little extra.
If anybody's buying a car for a young person, and we went through this a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, I think in September, we bought a car because we knew our kids were going to be driving it. That's the only car they're allowed to drive because they're not driving the spendy one.
Nope.
So we insisted that it have forward collision warning and autonomous braking. At a bare minimum, that's what you want. The lane keep and all that is nice, but it's forward collision warning and autonomous braking, and most cars have it.
And this does. So you're covered in that area.
But come on, Dad, pay the difference. Get the one up from the base.
Hopefully daughter's watching this as well.
Yeah, she's going to put the squeeze on him now. Look at them. Look what they said. And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
Looks much nicer than the previous version. For most people today who love SUVs, why buy an Impreza?
So would you like to save money, Andrea?
I do.
People like to save money. So why would you buy this over a Crosstrek? A, it's cheaper.
Yep.
It doesn't have the same profile as the Crosstrek, so it's going to slip through the air. It's going to be better on gas. That all saves money, which is why maybe someone might want this over a Crosstrek.
And also ground clearance. Like I said earlier, the Impreza gets 5.1 inches of ground clearance, but the Crosstrek 8.7 inches of ground clearance. So if you're dealing with some heavy snow and more treacherous winters, then you will probably be more comfortable with the Crosstrek. or you're going to the cottage and you're on those gravel roads. That's another reason why the Crosstrek might be for you. So it's really about your lifestyle. Either way, Subaru's got you covered with both of these models.
Yeah, so I think really if you live in an urban setting where they clear the snow quickly or fairly quickly, this is totally fine. You don't, and the thing is, you get all the functionality of the Crosstrek. It's exactly the same shell, the body. So the interior is identical. So you can save a little money, a little less ground clearance, and it's going to be better on gas.
And just like the Crosstrek, a 6-speed manual transmission is no longer available on the Impreza, which I'm kind of missing on this RS model. I think I would have really liked it.
All right, so let's get into the fuel economy, which is very good. You'll be surprised on that base engine and more in our vital stats.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. The base trim starts at just over $29,000 and the top Sport Tech trim is just over $37,000 Canadian. In the US, the base trim starts at just under $23,000 and the top RS model is just under $28,000.
Here's the fuel economy for the base 2-liter engine. 8.8 liters per 100 kilometers city, 6.8 on the highway. That's 27 miles per gallon city, 34 miles per gallon highway. The larger 2.5 liter that's in this RS gets 9 liters per 100 kilometers city, 7.2 on the highway. That's 26 miles per gallon city, 33 miles per gallon highway. The warranty is 3 years, 60,000 kilometers, or 36,000 miles. There aren't a lot of hatchbacks left.
No.
Especially in the compact class, so we chose 4.
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Toyota Corolla hatchback with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, 169 horsepower, and a starting price just over $23,000.
The Honda Civic hatchback with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, 158 horsepower, and a starting price over $32,000.
The Mazda 3 Sport with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, 155 horsepower, and a starting price of almost $23,000.
Well, we had to get another hatchback, so we chose the Volkswagen GTI, the most powerful of the bunch, with a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 241 horsepower, and a starting price just over $35,000.
So there are 4 hatchbacks for you to consider.
Lightning round. 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improved.
I'm impressed with the way this handles.
Are you impressed or imprezed?
Imprezed.
I love the suspension.
And I'd like to see a height adjustment, even if it's a manual one, on the passenger seat.
Speaking of manuals, Andrea, this would be a perfect candidate, the RS with a manual transmission.
Yep. We're pleasantly surprised by this one. Cute, sporty, and there's good value.
The car's nice too. The other thing is, if you're looking for a great commuter car, start here.